QuicTile by Daltile is an innovative tile installation system that makes getting your dream floor easier than ever before. It's a patented floating floor system made of real porcelain tile that installs over most existing hard surface floors or subfloors in as little as 1 day. Installation is simple, just 3 easy steps. Lay down underlayment, click tiles together, and grout. You're ready to go. No demo, no mortar, no mess. Read the installation instructions to make sure you have all the necessary tools and materials. Now, let's get started. Choose from the menu to skip ahead. Tools and accessories, floor prep, underlayment installation, tile installation, corners and cuts, door frames and transitions, grout application, tile replacement, and tile care. Chapter 1. Tools and Accessories. The QuicTile system requires QuicPrep, an underlayment certified for use with QuicTile products, and QuicTile by Daltile Grout. You can find these products and all the tools necessary to finish this project at the Home Depot. A complete list of tools can be found in the installation instructions. Safety items such as gloves and knee pads, measuring tools like a tape measure, level, rigid ruler, and pencil. A laser level is recommended to determine the level of the floor. If you can't get access to one of those, you can use the string method. You'll need a utility knife and a straight edge. A flooring installation kit and mallet. The kit includes wall spacers, a tapping block, and a pull bar. To cut the tile, you'll need a manual tile cutter, and if you need to make any corner cuts, a wet tile saw. When cutting, always use safety glasses and a dust mask. For grouting, you'll need grout, a trowel, a grout float, 2 or 3 microfiber grouting sponges, and a large bucket filled with clean water. Silicone sealer may be needed if you're installing a floor in high moisture areas like bathrooms and laundry rooms. Chapter 2. Floor Preparation. QuicTile can be installed over existing tile, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or rigid vinyl, as well as subfloors. It's not recommended over carpet. The subfloor should be dust and dirt free, so give it a good sweep or vacuum. Make sure the floor is clean, dry, and structurally sound. Before installing the tile, it's essential that the floor is level within 3/16 of an inch per 10-foot span. Otherwise, there'll be peaks and depressions that can cause dead spots underfoot, potentially damaging the installation. Check for level with a laser leveling system, which is recommended, or with a string. In the string method, measure for level from corner to corner. Sand or plane any peaks and fill depressions with leveling compound to ensure no more than 3/16 of an inch unevenness per 10-foot span. Recheck the floor once you've finished. Chapter 3. Underlayment Installation. The QuicTile system requires the use of QuicPrep, an underlayment certified for use with QuicTile to create a stable and level base. To install it, fit the first sheet of underlayment against the longest wall, being sure to smooth out any wrinkles. If you can, fit the underlayment under the drywall or molding. Place the next sheet of underlayment close to the first and tape the seams according to the instructions. Continue laying down the underlayment, carefully securing all edges until the entire floor is covered. Chapter 4. QuicTile Installation. Choose the best direction to install the tile based on the shape of the room. You may want to consider things like the longest and straightest wall, the pattern of the tile, and architectural elements like fireplaces or door frames. Consult the pattern guide to select an approved pattern for the size of the tile that you'll be installing. Straight grid and herringbone patterns are not recommended for QuicTile. Next, measure the width of the room and divide by the width of the tile. If the remainder is 3 inches or less, cut down the width of the first row to allow the last row to be more than 3 inches. Before starting, open the boxes and inspect the tiles for defects or damage. For best results, mix tiles from multiple cartons to prevent any obvious pattern repeats. Snap a chalk line along the base of the walls to determine whether or not the walls are square. If they're not, you may need to double up on wall spacers to ensure the installation remains straight. Painter's tape can be used to help hold up wall spacers as needed. Using construction adhesive, install any necessary transition or termination strips. Now, pick up a piece of tile and look at the size. Notice that there are two types of edges along the tile that interlock with each other. Tongue edges are smaller in size. The groove edges are wider, and the long groove edge has markers that show 33% and 66% offset indicators. To connect the tiles together, you'll be interlocking the small tongue edges into the larger groove edges. When you install the tiles, it's important that they're lined up straight with each other. In order to help align the tile correctly, prepare a guide tile to help set the tile in place. Cut a 6-inch piece of tile with a tongue edge. We recommend that you install from left to right and follow in a diagonal for the first 3 rows. This will allow you to create a straight, firm foundation for the tile throughout the room. A major advantage of QuicTile is that you can cut it without a wet saw. Simply mark the length, use a manual tile cutter to score, and snap the tile. More detail about cuts, including wet tile cuts, is covered in the next chapter. Now you're ready to tile. To begin, place 2 tongue edges in the corner of the room. Use wall spacers to create a 1/4 inch gap along both walls. Apply the spacer against the tile, not against the base profile. Make sure the wall spacers are placed between the joints of each pair of tiles as you proceed. You'll continue to use wall spacers along the entire perimeter of the project. Take the second piece of tile and lock the short tongue edge into the short groove edge of the first tile. Make sure to keep track of the chalk line throughout the installation. You may need to double up on spacers if your wall is uneven. The key to a successful installation is to ensure that the tile is aligned within the rows. The QuicTile system uses a locking technology to lock tiles together. To connect 2 tiles end to end, lock the short tongue edge into the short groove edge. Place the tongue into the groove at a slight angle and rotate to the floor until the tile locks in place. The third piece of tile will be used on the second row. Cut this piece to the marked offset indicator for a 33% offset pattern or in half for a 50% offset pattern. The cut edge will go along the wall. Be sure to use wall spacers to maintain the 1/4 inch expansion gap. Lock the long side of the fourth piece of tile into the first 2 pieces while maintaining a gap no more than 1/4 inch from the third piece of tile. To make it easy to tap your fourth piece into place, lock your guide tile into the long sides of the third and fourth pieces. Using the mallet and tapping block, tap in the short side of the fourth tile until it completely locks into the third tile. Once the tile is in place, remove the guide tile so you can reuse it when needed throughout the installation. To prevent any damage to the profile of the tiles, make sure the tapping block lip sits on the edge of the tile and not the locking backer. To begin the third row, lock the long groove edge of the fifth piece of tile into the second row. This piece will be a full piece or cut piece depending on your pattern. When this is complete, return to the first row and lock the sixth piece of tile in place using the short tongue edge. Continue to work in a diagonal pattern across the room using the guide piece throughout the process to help stabilize the tiles as you tap them in place. To ensure that your row remains aligned, keep track of the chalk line throughout the installation. Complete the first 3 rows using the diagonal method. Starting with the 4th row, you can install full rows before moving to the next row. Mistakes will happen. However, if you do chip a section of the profile, you don't have to throw out that tile. The profile can be chipped as much as 1 inch on the short side and 2 inches on the long side and still create a strong joint if the surrounding material is intact. When there's no room to use a tapping block, typically when you reach the end of a row or are working against a wall or island, use a pull bar. We recommend applying a few layers of tape on the end of the pull bar to cushion and protect the tile. Align the pull bar on the tile edge, not on the profile, and tap to pull the tiles together. finish the room. If you come to the wall and find that you're unable to use the tapping block to join the tiles, you can use construction adhesive to glue the tile to the underlayment. Cut off the tongue and groove with a utility knife, making sure to leave enough space for grout. Chapter 5. Corners and Detailing. You'll be faced with 3 kinds of cuts when you install QuicTile: straight cuts, corner cuts, and section cuts. These cuts will require either a manual tile cutter or a wet saw. You can rent both of these tools at your local Home Depot. Straight cuts are needed when you come to the end of a row and must fit the tile to the wall. Measure the distance from the last tile to the wall, then add 1/8 inch for the grout joint and 3/8 inch for expansion at the wall. Mark your tile and then make the cut on a manual tile cutter. The tile cutter scores the tile, allowing you to snap it to length. Put the cut edge against the wall. For corner cuts, you need to use a wet saw. Mark the tile with a permanent marker and cut along the line, being careful not to go past it. In certain instances, you may need to tile around a door jamb or an island leg or a bump-out wall. In that case, you'll need to use both a wet saw and a manual cutter. First, make your 2 cuts with the wet saw. Then score the section in the middle of the tile and use your mallet to tap out the waste. Chapter 6. Door frames and transitions. Due to the height of this product, if you install QuicTile over an existing floor, you'll need to check door heights and make appropriate adjustments. When transitioning between QuicTile and another flooring material, you have a number of choices. If the second material is at the same level as the QuicTile floor, you can either use a transition strip or butt the 2 materials together. A transition strip is almost always the best choice when both materials are hard surface floors. Leave a gap of 1/8 inch from the tray to the bottom of the tee and from the tee to the edge of the other material. This lets you be a little less precise in your cut and allows for seasonal movement. If you're transitioning to a carpeted floor of the same height or taller, you can butt the QuicTile against the carpet. Use a wet saw so your cut will be crisp and precise. Then, using a carpet stretcher, attach the carpet to a tack strip. When the levels of 2 floors are not equal, you'll need to use a termination strip. Cut the tile to length and then use construction adhesive to affix the termination strip to the floor. Chapter 7. Grout Application. Before grouting, let's take a last look at the entire floor and ensure that all the joints are tight and everything is correctly lined up. This is your opportunity to make sure your floor is as perfectly laid out as possible. You'll be grouting the joints between the tiles. You may consider using a silicone sealer for the space between the tile and the wall, especially for wet areas and areas prone to water exposure. In larger commercial applications, an expansion joint should be placed every 100 linear feet. The QuicTile system requires QuicTile by Daltile flexible single component grout. Before use, it must be mixed thoroughly with your trowel to incorporate any liquid that is separated during storage. Do not add water. Because this grout is quick drying, it's important that you grout and then promptly clean a small section at a time. Ideally, no larger than 3 feet by 4 feet. Finally, fill a large bucket with water and have your microfiber grouting sponge ready. To begin, remove the wall spacers from around the perimeter. Lightly dampen your sponge with clean water and apply to the top of the tile. Drop a baseball-sized amount of grout directly onto a tile joint. Use a grout float and firmly press the grout into the joint, packing it in, and then wipe it away at a 45-degree angle. Continue doing this until you've used up this pile of grout. Now wring out your sponge until it's damp and wipe the tile firmly at a 45-degree angle to the seams, but not so firmly that you drag out the grout. Best practice is to wipe the tile with one side of the sponge, flip it, wipe with the second microfiber side, and then rinse and wring the sponge nearly dry before beginning again. Periodically change the water in the bucket so you can continue to wipe the tile with clean water. If you don't wipe off the grout promptly and completely, it will leave a hazy substance on the top of the tile. Wait at least 3 hours before using an everyday glass cleaner to remove the haze. If the haze is still visible, you can purchase a grout haze remover. To ensure the best application, always make sure your grout has been stored properly, is as new as possible, and has been thoroughly mixed. Most importantly, grout small sections at a time. We recommend working in one baseball-sized amount of grout at a time and then wiping off the excess. Chapter 8. Tile Replacement. QuicTile by Daltile is extremely impact resistant and scratch resistant, but if an individual tile does become damaged, it can be easily replaced. Using a rotary cutting tool, carve out the grout around the damaged piece to expose the base profile. Carefully cut all around the exposed tray, making sure you don't damage the underlayment below. A pry bar can be used to lift the damaged tile free from the floor. Trim the profile from the new tile and dry fit it into place to ensure it lays flat and level and is not hung up on the profiles of any of the existing tiles. Once the fit is right, affix the tile to the floor with construction adhesive, spacing it with standard 1/4 inch spacers. When the adhesive is cured, grout the tile. For detailed grouting instructions, please review Chapter 7 of this video. Chapter 9. Tile Care. Now that you've successfully tiled your floor, you can walk on it within 24 hours, and it will completely cure in 72 hours. QuicTile is waterproof, stain-proof, dent-proof, and highly scratch-resistant. If something is spilled on the tile, you can clean it up with a mop and typical household cleaning products. Maintain your tile by sweeping, vacuuming, and mopping, and it will continue to look great for years to come. If you have any questions or want more information, visit us online at homedepot.com/QuicTile.